Scene script. Have you ever wondered what exactly happens to the brain of a young male when exposed to pornographic material? It's a question that's been on the minds of many, especially in an era where the digital landscape is saturated with adult content, readily accessible at the touch of a button. We're living in a time where the average age at which a child first encounters pornography is shockingly young. The internet, with all its benefits, has also opened the floodgates to explicit material. With smartphones, tablets, laptops, technology has made it possible for porn to seep into the lives of young males much earlier than generations before them. This phenomenon isn't just a cultural shift, it's a paradigm shift. The controversy surrounding the impact of porn on young male brains is as heated as ever. Critics argue that exposure to explicit material at a young age can warp perceptions of sex, relationships, and even self-worth. On the other hand, proponents claim that porn is a harmless outlet for curiosity and sexual exploration. But amongst the clamor of societal debate, where are the voices of science? What does the research have to say about the effects of porn on the young male brain? Well, that's exactly what we're here to explore. We're not here to moralize, judge, or even to take sides. We're here to delve into the scientific facts, to unravel the complexities of the human brain under the influence of pornography. We'll consider the physiological changes that occur when a young male views explicit material. We'll discuss the psychological implications, the potential for addiction, and the possible long-term effects on mental health. And we'll do it all with an open mind, because the only way to approach a topic as contentious as this is with objectivity and respect for the research. So, whether you're a concerned parent, an educator, or simply someone who's curious about the world, we invite you to join us on this journey. It's time to move beyond the rhetoric and face the facts. Let's dive into the latest scientific research to uncover the truth. To understand the effects of porn, we need to first understand how the brain processes sexual stimuli. Let's dive into the brain's control room, the reward system. This system is a group of neural structures responsible for our emotions, especially those associated with pleasure. The reward system gets activated by rewarding or reinforcing stimuli. And yes, you guessed it right, sexual stimuli fall into this category. One of the key players in this system is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Dopamine, often dubbed as the feel-good hormone, is released when we do things that feel good, like eating our favorite food, nailing a workout, or experiencing sexual pleasure. It's like a pat on the back from our brain saying, "Hey, that was great, let's do that again." Now, dopamine doesn't just stop at making us feel good. It plays a crucial role in the formation of habits and addictions. When a particular action triggers the release of dopamine, our brain remembers it and craves to repeat it. The more often we repeat this action, the stronger this neural pathway becomes and the harder it becomes to break the habit. But here's the catch. Our brain is a bit like a thrill seeker. It loves novelty and excitement. When we're exposed to the same stimuli over and over, our brain starts to find it less exciting. This means less dopamine is released and we feel less pleasure. This is why people often find themselves seeking more novel or intense stimuli to get the same high. So how does all this tie into porn consumption? Well, porn offers an overload of sexual stimuli, often more novel and intense than real-life experiences. This can lead to a spike in dopamine levels, reinforcing the desire to watch more porn. Now that we have a basic understanding of the brain's reward system, how does this apply to porn? Recent scientific studies have shown some startling findings when it comes to porn in the brain. Let's dive into the nitty-gritty of these research findings. Our brains are wired to reward us when we do something pleasurable. Eating a delicious meal, engaging in physical activity, or achieving a goal, for example, triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that makes us feel good. This is our brain's built-in reward system. Now imagine turning this reward system up to 11, over and over again. That's essentially what happens when a person regularly views pornography. The brain gets flooded with dopamine, resulting in a high that can become addictive over time. As with any addiction, the brain eventually adapts to these high levels of dopamine and becomes desensitized. This means that over time, the same amount of porn doesn't provide the same dopamine rush, and individuals may find themselves seeking more explicit or varied content to achieve the same high. More alarmingly, some researchers suggest that prolonged exposure to porn can lead to altered sexual preferences and expectations. When one is continuously exposed to explicit content, the brain may begin to associate these exaggerated scenarios with normal sexual behavior. This can lead to unrealistic expectations in real-life sexual relationships. For example, one might start expecting their partner to behave or look a certain way based on what they've seen in porn. This can create a disconnect between reality and fantasy, potentially leading to dissatisfaction and relationship issues. In addition, research indicates that excessive porn consumption can even alter the brain's physical structure, specifically the areas associated with reward sensitivity, motivation, and impulse control. This is indeed a cause for concern. But what does all this mean for young males in our society? The effects of porn on young male brains can be far-reaching and deeply impactful. It's a bold statement, but one that's rooted in a growing body of research. Let's unpack that a bit, shall we? First up, unrealistic sexual expectations. Pornography often portrays sexual encounters that are, let's say, a tad more extroverted than your average Tuesday night. This over-the-top portrayal can skew the perception of what a normal sexual relationship looks like. It's like expecting every meal to be a 5-star banquet because that's all you see on the Food Network. Next, we have the potential for addiction. Just like any other form of entertainment, porn can be habit-forming. The brain loves novelty, and porn provides an endless supply. This can lead to a cycle of overconsumption and, in some cases, dependency. It's like being in a candy store where the candy never runs out. But remember, too much candy isn't good for anyone. Then there are the potential impacts on relationships. Studies suggest that heavy porn use can lead to decreased satisfaction in real-world relationships. It's like constantly comparing your backyard barbecue to a gourmet steakhouse. Your homemade burger might start to seem less appetizing, and we can't ignore the potential for altered brain development in heavy users. The brain is malleable, especially during the teenage years. Regular exposure to porn can potentially shape the brain in ways that are not yet fully understood. It's like planting a tree next to a wall. Over time, the tree might grow leaning towards the wall, influenced by its environment. So, is all porn bad for young males? Well, like anything in life, moderation is key, but it's important to be aware of these potential effects. It's like knowing the speed limit. You can still drive fast, but it's good to know when you might be pushing the pedal a little too hard, and remember, always buckle up for safety. The answer, like many things in life, is not black and white. It's a nuanced conversation, a tug-of-war between freedom of expression and potential harm. So what's the verdict on porn and its effects on the brains of young males? Well, it's not all doom and gloom. Pornography, like most things, can be harmful if it's overconsumed or misused. But it's not the existence of porn that's necessarily the problem, it's often the lack of understanding around it. Research suggests that overconsumption of porn can lead to negative effects, sure. But it's crucial to note that these effects are not universal. They vary from person to person, and they're often more prominent in those who lack a proper understanding of what they're consuming. This brings us to a crucial point: education. It's not about banning or shaming porn, it's about fostering open discussions about it. It's about teaching young males about the potential effects of porn consumption on their brains. It's about helping them understand the difference between the fantasy portrayed in porn and the reality of human relationships. Let's be honest, most sex education programs don't shed light on this, leaving young males to navigate these murky waters on their own. But it doesn't have to be this way. We can change the narrative. We can equip young males with the tools they need to understand and control their consumption. And that's where you come in. Parents, educators, older siblings, mentors, you have a role to play. Start those conversations, break the silence, dispel the myths. Let's create a culture where young males are not just consuming content mindlessly, but are actively engaging with it, understanding it, questioning it. In conclusion, it's not about demonizing porn or those who watch it. It's about understanding its potential effects and empowering young males to make informed decisions about their own consumption. Remember, knowledge is power. Knowing the potential effects of porn on the brain can help young males make informed decisions about their own consumption.